Okay, Tim. Good evening and welcome to the second and final meeting tonight. My name is Dennis Buckley, Mayor of the City of Beech Grove, and at this time we will convene our Board of Public Works and Safety meeting for Monday, March the 20th, 2017. In lieu of a roll call, I will ask each participant to introduce themselves, beginning on my far right.
Dave Harrison.
Dan McMillan, Clerk Treasurer.
Craig Riley, City Attorney.
Sandy Seward.
Thank you, Board. You have been presented a printed copy of the minutes of the previous meeting dated Monday, March the 6th, 2017. In lieu of a roll, I'll open the floor up for questions, comments, or corrections.
I have none, thank you.
I have none.
No questions, comments, or corrections. I'll ask for a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I'll make said motion.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries. This evening, Board, you have 30 pages of corporate claims in the amount of $1,078,218.07. The floor is open for questions or comments.
I have none.
I don't have any. I'm good.
If you go to the very last page, at the top, Indiana Department of Transportation, that is the approval of the Churchman Avenue Sidewalk Construction Project in the amount of $195,840. That will be up for approval this evening, and under new business, Brad will do some explaining on that project. So before we approve it, I want to thank Brad and the clerk's office for processing this and getting this paid. This starts the, without that, we don't proceed, and then Brad will talk about that in a minute. Any other questions on the docket claims?
No.
If not, I'll ask for a motion to approve the corporate claims dated March 20th, 2017, in the amount of $1,078,218.07.
I'll make said motion.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries. First order of new business to see, or excuse me, we have one order of unfinished business carried over from the previous meeting. Sanitary sewer lining project, notice to proceed. Brent?
Okay, the first would be approval of the construction agreement with Miller Pipeline in the amount of $86,002.50. I would request the board approve the construction agreement. They have provided their bonds and insurance. Miller Pipeline has.
Okay, does the board have any questions or comments?
I do not, thank you.
No.
Having said that, I'll ask for a motion to approve the contract between the City of Beech Grove and Miller Pipeline.
I'll make said motion.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries.
Okay, then on to the notice to proceed. Get the clock started. In front of you, request approval of the notice to proceed to Miller Pipeline, which stipulates they have 90 days to, 90 days for substantial completion and 120 days for final completion. The substantial completion date would be June 18th, and the final completion would be July 18th. So this will get the clock started. Any questions on the notice to proceed?
I do not.
No.
If not, I'll ask for a motion to approve the notice to proceed.
I'll make said motion.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries. Brent, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we'll see you in 2 weeks? All right. Thank you very
We
much.
gave you the right ones there.
That concludes unfinished business carried over from the previous meeting. Under new business, we have several items. The first order of business is Churchman Avenue Construction final invoice. Brad?
Good evening, Board. So as the mayor previously mentioned, this invoice is the kind of the final piece of the puzzle from the city's side to move forward in the construction phase. $195,000 is our 20% match. NDOT's already paid their $791,000. Once they receive our check, then the contractor, which is E&B Paving, can then set up a pre-construction meeting and probably give us a schedule at that point of what they expect the project to look like. E&B came in about 70,000, well, it was a little more than that, I think, Brian, wasn't it, about 120?
I think it was 70 over the engineer's estimate.
The final engineer's estimate, that's correct. They submit a final engineer's estimate prior to letting, and it came in a little higher, and then the MPO was very gracious. They immediately gave us the overage. Sometimes, and Brian knows from, I think, examples in the past, they expect the LPA, which is us, to kick in the overage, so the 70,000 roughly would 100% come from us. But in this case, they stayed to the 80-20 schedule, so we only had to pay 20% of that 70,000, which was very nice of them to do. So it kept the project on schedule, didn't require any, huge amount of extra funds from us. So we're on schedule as of right now, and submitting this payment and getting it paid as quickly as we have is good and crucial to keep the schedule moving forward. So it's all good. Good stuff to report.
Floor is open for any questions or comments.
I have none.
I have none.
We have already approved the payment, so Dan will process that over the next couple of days, and we'll wait to hear from E&B Paving.
And good news on the utility side, we had thought potentially we might have to wait a little bit for IPL to move some lighting from the south side to the north, but they've already pulled those lights, so they won't be in the way of the project. So that was also good news to see them get in and get that out, get those off quickly. And then you guys are fully aware of what they did with the gas main in Churchman. Everybody has seen that, so, but that's done as well, so.
Elstad.
Yeah, right.
It was going to cost $115,000 to move lights and street lights, and it ended up costing us nothing. So that was really good. So we're happy about that. So how long do you think it'll take to do the project?
Construction
Once
schedule?
they start?
There's a final completion date in the contract that's
I might have
sometime
it
in
here.
November. I don't know if it's November 1st or later, but I think it's sometime in November.
Yeah,
And again, we'll
Have
know
that on here.
more once we get a pre-construction meeting scheduled with that contractor when they expect to not only start, but finish.
Any thoughts, questions, concerns?
No, I'd like to comment on this. At the present time, there's not sufficient funds, and sending Brad an email, we either have to do an additional appropriation and run this in the negative until the money comes in, or take it out of LRS and then move it around afterwards, but it's something we need to move forward on.
Very good. Brad, thank you.
all right, thanks.
Next up is, there's not going to be a status report on engine 58. Sure, real quick.
Evening, Mayor and Board. Just give you real quick information on Engine 58. The last meeting, I briefed you on the possibility that we might have to surplus that apparatus. We were able to take that engine to Clark Diesel, and they were able to fix it. It ended up being a couple of the upper and lower rockers, and they replaced the cam. It was a $5,200 fix. For that Series 60 engine, if we would have had to rebuild that engine, it would have cost about $24,000. So those difficult decisions would have had been made at that point. But I feel we were able to get off really good at the $5,200, get that apparatus back in service. Do just want to make you aware of some of the reasoning with the fix. With the City of Beech Grove and our liability, our ISO ratings, it was a good fix to have. So in the future, we're going to have to think about replacement. But for now, that engine is back up, and we should have it back tomorrow. So,
All right, thanks, Chief. Phase 1 and Phase 2 professional design increase. Brian, come on up.
Yes, good evening, Board. In relation to our 100% locally funded resurfacing project, what we've been calling Phase 2, there was actually two construction packages that entailed. There was one that got built at the end of last year, and the one that's under construction right now that we just awarded a couple weeks ago at a previous board meeting. We originally signed a professional services agreement to do that work in August of 2016. And when we signed that agreement, we have actually listed in the contract the locations of work we had intended to do. And we had 12 separate locations, you know, for example, 8th Street from Albany to Maine, or 7th Avenue from, et cetera, block to block, kind of what we were doing. At that time, we were putting together an application for the Community Crossings Grant that I believe you're familiar with, where it was a 50-50 matching grant through the state. So when we were successful in obtaining that, we actually found out that we could do more work than we had originally planned, because we were getting 50% of the construction paid for through the state. So what ended up happening is that we ended up with about 27 different locations divided between these two projects of, you know, block per block places that we designed and have constructed or are under construction. Just to put that in a little bit of perspective, again, those original 12 locations, we had an estimated construction cost of about $680,000. With those two projects that are now out for construction or already constructed, the total cost for those was about $1,179,000. So we were able to increase the amount of work that we did through the 50-50 matching grant and through the city's own funds about 73% over what we intended to do. Unfortunately, and this is, I will have to admit, this is probably bad business proceedings, we, in a good faith effort with the city, continued to do that design work, mostly because it needed to be done in a timely fashion. We didn't want to hold up the project and say, whoa, this is out of the scope of our contract, can we put the brakes on until we get this sorted out? We went ahead and did the design for all 27 of those locations. So now that we have completed the designing and bidding process and everything that's in construction, we now know exactly how far we've stretched ourselves over our original contract. So what I'm here to request tonight is a supplemental agreement to our original contract that would provide an additional $23,450. And again, to put that in perspective, that's actually a 43% increase in our design fees. So you can see, based on the 73% increase in construction and the 43% in design, we were still able to achieve some efficiency in our design from already being involved in the project and already working on it. We just continued to push ahead for things that were out of our original scope, and now that the design is complete, we are trying to make ourselves whole again.
Floor is open for any questions or comments.
So are we expanding the scope, or did we just totally miss something within scope?
We expanded the scope, yes. It was a clear expansion. Again, because of that 50-50 matching grant that we got, we had a much larger pool of money that we were able to build instead of the $680,000, over $1 million worth of paving throughout the city.
Okay, gotcha.
So it's a pretty clear expansion of scope. We just, again, we didn't stop in the middle of it and say, oh, we've reached our original number. We've kind of just proceeded at risk to ourselves so far.
Okay, thank you.
David, any comment?
No.
Concerns?
No, not really.
I've got one, the storm sewer improvements at the intersection of Schaff and Bellefontaine.
That was
Okay.
billed separately, wasn't it? I don't know, I don't remember.
And that's my question, is that something that we can pay out of storm sewer and still get reimbursed from NDOT?
That was in the construction project that was last year, and that all came out of the, I do not believe that was in our initial community crossings grant request. Is that what you're asking about, if it can come out of the money
Out of
from
the
that?
actual storm sewer money instead of paving money?
We could,
I think we may have, Dan, last
year.
I think when that project was under construction,
Yeah.
we were able to keep it separate at that time.
Okay.
And a little while ago, he said that he cut it from there, it's 23,450 is what they request. Actually, it was 47,000.
Are you talking about when the inspection
Yeah.
numbers were in there as well? Yes.
And when we had a conference call, I told him that I would not accept that. You could come and talk to the board with this amount, but I would not proceed with the additional $47,000.
Right. Well, the other half of our contract, and this may or may not come up later, which is why the mayor was happy to kind of table it for the time being, is we're also providing construction inspection. While the contractor's out there building it, we're out there making sure they're doing it per plan and per all the standards that are required. We're providing part-time inspection, and that part of our contract is an hourly basis. So it's a not-to-exceed amount that, every hour that gets charged to the project gets tabulated and documented, and we only, if we only spend 10,000 out of a 20,000 contract, that's all that you get billed for actual hours spent. That part of the contract still has some money in it, and we are going to try to keep it within that original amount. But we'll see how it goes. We're working with Smith Projects again on this second project, who things have gone pretty well so far with our pre-construction meeting and knowing that what we expect from them. But that's kind of our project. Our contract is in two separate parts: one the design and one the inspection. So we're going to plunge forward with the inspection and try to again be as efficient as we can in that aspect, such that we don't exceed the current notice to exceed, or not to exceed.
Any other questions?
I don't.
No, I'm fine.
I'm not sure where the board wants to go with this. I'll ask for a motion to approve the request from United.
Before we take a vote, Dan, are you okay with?
Well, I mean, I don't know what the actual numbers are. I'm sure we can find 23,000, Naturally, I don't want to pay any more for it than
Right.
anybody. So, I'll leave that up to you guys.
I'll make some motion, we go with the additional funds for phase 2.
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries.
Thank you
Can
very
you
much.
bill us in 19?
We can work something like that out. If the paperwork's signed, I think everyone can.
Thanks for that explanation.
So I have 2 copies. For signature from the board, I can start them on either side, or make sure we do. Sticker is on the side there.
Here's Dave.
Did you get that?
This is for Sandy.
Do you want to date it?
I was a good kid.
That copy can be back inside.
Sorry. Can we date this?
Please.
And yeah, and that second copy is for you guys up there, and we'll keep you apprised of how the inspection goes. They also, on this project, have a 90-day completion requirement in their contract.
Thank you.
Brian, thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Next item is several handicap parking renewal approvals and one new handicap parking application. And all of the paperwork is on file,
Yes.
so we just need to approve each person. So if Dan could go down and read the names of the people, then we'll ask for a motion to approve. Dan?
Gwen Pettigrew, Julie Edgecombe, James McGuire, Marcia Helton, Joe Hag, Dorothy Ferguson, and that's the new one. All the rest of these are renewals. Susan Mitchell, Susie McKenna, Robert Cagg, Janice Letterly, Evelyn Pack, Sue Miller, Deborah Berry, Paulette Vanderweel, Danny Harris, Hyla Speth, Paul Davis, Ron Buchanan, Matilda Osborne, Everett Osborne, William Franklin, Kathy Arsenault, and Mark Arthur.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from board members?
I have none.
No.
If not, I'll ask for a motion to approve the request for handicap parking for all of the folks listed by the clerk.
I'll make said motion.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I also vote aye, and the motion carries. The last order of business this evening is we have a new council person in District 2 as a result of Ed Bell's resignation. And Daniel Mascari has filled out the nepotism certificate and the contract certificate pursuant to, is it State Board of Accounts?
Yes, yes. I'm not sure that he really needed to, but just to make sure he's doing these two plus conflict of interest,
Yes.
which will be going to the council at the next meeting.
So this is just, and I told him we would do this again in December, so any questions or comments?
I have none.
No.
If not, I'll ask for a motion to approve these documents submitted this evening.
Make said motion.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 I also vote aye, and the motion carries. That concludes new business this evening. Comments from board members?
I have no comment.
I have none.
If not, the meeting is adjourned, and a motion to adjourn.
I'll make said motion.
Second.
Meeting is adjourned at 6:31 PM. We will convene again in these chambers on Monday, April the 3rd at 6 PM. Thank you.